The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing. Join the movement.
I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Stream has been approved for truth seekers by the DEFCON Truth Alliance.
If the opinion that's coming out needs people to be silenced, it's a psyop. There are psychological operations in play.
So if you can't question it, if you're supposed to just go along, it's a psyop.
Yeah, and if people have to be silenced or publicly shamed because of their information, and they're not telling people the sky's falling, they're not saying crazy shit. Mm-hmm. They're just saying basic stuff, and they need to be silenced. That is a psyop.
There's a war out there, old friend. A world war. And it's not about who's got the most bullets. It's about who controls the information. What we see and hear, how we work, what we think. It's all about the information.
We're the ones that were on the ground. We're the ones that are actually reporting what's going on.
Control said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
We have an Insurrection Act for a reason.
Yeah, it's a morality tale.
When the eyes see, the ears hear, the mind believes.
Because you can run, but you can't hide. It's gotta be biblical. One by one, say goodbye. One by one, say goodbye. One by one, say goodbye. You can run, but this is not fair. This is warfare. This is warfare. This is warfare.
I love it every time, bro.
I'll tell you, that intro, man, like I come in here, I'm like, I'm so tired. And then the intro is like, okay, this is warfare, baby. Buckle up. DEFCON ZERQ is in the house. Woo! What's up, Alpha Warrior?
Dude, there's a lot going on, man. Whole lot going on. And same thing, you know, we come in, we have 90 seconds of conversation, and then it's showtime. You know, for those that think it's scripted, no, it's absolutely not. But I do want to say this, man. If you guys have never seen DEFCON before, do us a solid. Let us know down in the comments on whatever platform you're watching, and welcome to the Badlands family.
That's right.
First and foremost, that I want to say that this show has been growing crazy. The other night I went, and there's a whole lot of people out there that are showing the DEFCON shows on their platforms, which is like, hey, you know what? At least let people know where to find us. Right?
Most of them do, and I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons why, like my channel, your channel, they steal our content all the time and post it on their own Rumble channels, and that's fine. Like, as long as you're telling people where to find us, we're cool with that, right? But dude, #1 show on Rumble, as you can see, we're on the big screen, multiple different weeks in a row, and great. You know why? We want to know why? Because we are freaking spot on with the assessment. I'm not one of those people like, you know, look at me, but I'm telling you guys, you're hearing it here first with a lot of this shit. And we're not right about everything, but there's some things that I'm telling you, we are spot on about, and it's pretty crazy. Now, here is something crazy. I don't like Pam Bondi. You know, I don't like Pam Bondi. And last week
I was going to bring it up if you did it.
Well, listen. So last week, I did the whole post on DNI Tulsi Gabbard's husband, Abraham, rare form of bone cancer. And I said, hey, did you know that back in the 1950s, Judith Vary Baker was a whistleblower that came forth. She was a biological student, biology student who got selected into a CIA program. She was also the girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald. And she talked about how she was recruited by the Central Intelligence Agency to design to basically weaponize a virus known as SV40. Okay, so simian virus 40. Back in the 1950s, they discovered that it causes rampant tumors and cancer. What they wanted to do is they wanted to make it a biological agent, put it into cigars, and kill Fidel Castro. And Judith Vary Baker came out about this story many, many years later. Now, here's the thing, is if the CIA had the ability to weaponize a virus that produces cancer back in the 1950s and 1960s, by the way, this was in the polio vaccine. This is how it was discovered. Then what do they have now? And this is what I said, is one of the reasons DNI Tulsi Gabbard is stepping down is because her husband, Abraham, has a rare form of bone cancer. And listen, this is how they all target you to get you out of the way. But what did we just learn? I mean, just hours ago, Pam Bondi has been dealing with a rare type of thyroid cancer for the last 4 to 5 months. In other words, I think my assessment that these people are being targeted, and they're being targeted to get them out of the way because the deep state still has power. Now, I went on to say that number one is you have all the things happening with the CIA right now. They were spying on DNI Tulsi Gabbard's various different task force. They were taking classified information that was meant to be declassified off the table, pulling it back into the CIA. And here's my assessment. If John Ratcliffe, the director of the CIA, knew this, if he knew this, he needs to be fired immediately. Okay? Here's the other part. If he did not know this, he needs to be fired immediately. Okay? John Ratcliffe needs to go, and you need to appoint somebody into the CIA that's going to fracture it into 1,000 pieces. And I know who that one person is. I know who you think should be in there, because I know that person would actually get it done. Because if you have a DNI and a CIA director that can collaborate on defunding the various different operations within the Central Intelligence Agency and restructure the whole intelligence agency framework within the United States of America, consolidating it down to maybe 1 or 2 intelligence agencies, military and civilian, or just one that operates, and getting rid of all the 18 to 23 different intelligence agencies we have, you'll have more control over that system. And I think that there's some people out there that have ideas of how to do that, and they know how to do that, and we need to get them in those positions. At least that's my assessment.
I 100% agree with you on that. I thought you were going to bring up the other news surrounding Pam Bondi that came out about 2 hours ago, maybe 3. And that's this news right here. Let me bring it up on the screen for those that haven't seen it. Trump appoints former AG Bondi to White House AI panel. Very, very interesting, especially when we know AI is being utilized in all of these operations. I think Trump is, you know, when you move your knight, for those of you who play chess, the knight has a very interesting pattern that it moves in. Think of it like a 7 or an L. And you move it to flex to see if another person's going to move the way you think they are. And if they do, you're solid. And if they don't, you put your knight back and into its position. And so you can, prepare it for the next move. And I feel like, Pam Bondi was supposed to go and testify before the committee. And Trump went, yeah, not so fast there, because we're not ready for that information to come out just yet. And I think this is that, with regards to Tulsi's husband, and these different cancers that are coming out. I absolutely think that there's a bioweapon that's being put out there.
So you said AI. I find that really interesting. NATO's top military AI commander just came out and admitted it out loud. There's no competition to Palantir. One American company, one contract, the entire Western Alliance's battlefield is AI. There's no alternative deliverable for the next few decades. In other words, Palantir is so damn advanced in AI that it's unstoppable. I said this last week. I'll say it again. We've already obtained artificial superintelligence, just not commercially. This is why you're seeing the actions being taken. This is why Trump is going out there already knowing that he won, because we have the predictive analytical software integrated with the artificial superintelligence that is telling us what's going on. Now, I found that important. We could talk about AI here in a little while, but I wanted to tell you about this one because I didn't like Kristi Noem either. Did you hear this one?
I did.
Wall Street Journal's reported the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General just opened an audit into a $38 billion warehouse and detention scheme that Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski rammed through. They bought 11 vacant warehouses in a matter of months, paying 11 to 13% over market value. The properties weren't even zoned for detention, no working plumbing for thousands of detainees. But Noem and Lewandowski pressured ICE to open them by the year's end anyway. The result, $1 billion already spent on 9 facilities. Nearly 50 contractors paid $1.7 billion. Many of them formed in late 2024 after they won the election and announced that she was going to become DHS secretary. In other words, the same mechanism that the Democrats use for kickbacks and giving government contracts out there seems to be at play here. I'm just saying, but listen, Pam Bondi, love her or hate her, she set up what Todd Blanche is doing now. I'll admit that. Okay. And we know that we have investigations up the yin yang. We have grand juries formed all throughout the country investigating this. North Carolina, Fort Pierce, Florida, and Southern District of Florida. We got Virginia. We got DC grand juries. We got Georgia. We got Maricopa County. All of this is coming down the pipe. It's freaking phenomenal. But we have to understand that, listen, there is absolutely, John Brennan said this 2 weeks ago. He said, we still have people within the DOJ and the intelligence community. And he was not wrong. I mean,
he even named them.
Yeah.
He called it the Legion.
His Legion. And so when we start to see that, you know, DNI Tulsi Gabbard's husband's getting rare form of bone cancer, Pam Bondi's got thyroid cancer, I think we're probably going to see much more of this coming about in the next few months, with people potentially leaving the administration with rare forms of cancer. And this should draw in speculation from the administration, like, what the hell is really going on? I mean, this isn't conspiracy theory anymore, people. This stuff is legitimate. You have the tick-borne the tick-borne meat illness, right? You know, when it started, it's 9,200% increase in the amount of this illness going around the United States of America since 2013. You want to know what I think they're going to find out? Gain of function research funded by the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Department of Defense. Telling you.
Oh, I want to provide a different perspective to those warehouses. But if you want that perspective, you got to hang on tight, because we're going to get to 2 commercials real quick. And then when we come back, I'll give Josh this perspective that he can say, I don't know. We'll see you guys in a moment.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
And you guys are also familiar with Patriot Protect. It finds your personal information on hundreds of websites, exposing it publicly and wipes it from the internet. Here's why that matters more right now than ever before. This year, 72 million email addresses were dumped on a hacking forum. This exposed social security numbers and medical records of 25 million Americans. This goes far beyond hackers, folks. Data brokers sell your personal details, location, daily movements, and private life to anyone who's willing to pay for it. The FBI admitted buying that same data to track Americans without a warrant. In March, the FBI's own surveillance systems were breached in what the Justice Department called a major incident. Most services only monitor your credit and alert you after identity theft. Patriot Protect removes that data criminals, scammers, and stalkers use to target you up front. Patriot Protect's free exposure report is exactly what a scammer sees when they search for you. Here's what you need to do. Take a 60-second test. It's a peek into your vulnerability. There's no credit card, no sign up needed. So think about it. What's more expensive? A few dollars a month or having your bank account strained? Use code Badlands for 15% off any plan at patriot-protect.com/DEFCON. Your data is already out there. Take it back today. Folks, while you're at it, go check out episode 2 of America First Stories right here on Badlands to learn more about the company. And with that, so I said a different perspective, right?
Okay, let's hear
it. And shout out, you know, got all my pet club right here.
Man. I just put the link. I put the link in the chat for everybody if you're interested in there. I took a Clarity, so I took a L-theanine and Clarity and some coffee before my show, and I was like, woo!
I was gonna do a Vanna White moment, but I dropped one of the bottles. Let me try this. Here we go. There you go, folks. There's 4. The other one's rolling down there somewhere. Stuff's amazing. Especially the Clarity, the one that you're talking about. Yeah, but here's a different perspective. Now, we know that Trump has his people make moves, and we'll use Bondi as an example. Beginning of 2025, he goes and designates, we talked about this ad nauseum already, designates the cartels as foreign terrorist groups. But Trump doesn't deploy that until we get into 2026 or late 2025 going into 2026. And so Trump, he sets these positions up. So now if we look at these warehouses, are they vacant? Is this Noam and her crew trying to, like you said, kind of do what the Democrats did, get these kickbacks and paybacks? And theoretically, yeah, that's possible. And I can see that. Or is there going to be another use for these facilities? And what am I talking about? We know what's coming down the pipeline before November. And we know No Kings, Antifa, BLM, everything you guys have seen over the last 10 years is all going to get deployed in one fatal funnel. And are we looking at these facilities that are going to be detention facilities for not just maybe illegals, but maybe people that get apprehended in these crimes? Are we going to see these people that are going to be under federal custody instead of state custody and local custody, where we see these courts turn around and let these people go? We've seen this at crazy numbers with Antifa. These guys get arrested and they're kicked out immediately with tickets, and they're right back to it. So are we going to see holding facilities for people that are going to be under?
So I'm like this on that. So number one is I agree with you. I think that it's a very good possibility that Trump basically went to Noam and said, get this done. I don't care. Get it done fast. I need these facilities. And they just went out there and they got as many warehouses and facilities, but they filled them with contractors that were privy and friends with themselves. And I think that that's where the IG investigation comes in. And that is basically standard Republican politics, or at least old school Republican politics, not this kind of new idea where, hey, you don't do that. Right. So I think it's just them playing the same political game that they've always played, and potentially got removed for that. And we know Corey and Kristi Noem were most likely having an affair as well, because Kristi Noem's husband was a cross-dressing, tranny-loving weirdo. But anyways.
What was that?
I don't know.
That's gnarly.
Wealthy people, man, with all this time on their hands. I don't know.
If I had that kind of wealth, I'm not going to go and put I don't know.
Kristi Noem probably pegged them.
Dude, who knows, bro? Who knows? But here's some good news. Before we get into some of the stuff we want to talk about tonight. Yeah, I could real quick. We've been hearing people, and I'm going to be talking about this on my show tonight when I do mine at length. But we've heard for the last, we're May coming into June, so 17 months, 18 months. MAGA's dead. Trump lost all his juice. The Republican Party is toast. He goes 37-0 on the last elections, and I'll bring this up right here on the screen for everybody to see. Goes 4-0 today in Texas. Dude, I don't know if you've seen the numbers surrounding Ken Paxton and the Cornyn.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a wipeout.
That was an ass whooping, bro.
Chip Roy lost. Al Green lost his runoff. He's gone. But here's this for everybody.
Well, 8 times, he won 8. Trump endorsed on the U.S. House level 101 times. He's won 101 times. Trump endorsed U.S. Senate. He's won 8 times, and we're about to find out tonight whether or not that will be number 9.
It was number 9. You had Paxton win. Ken Paxton win. So that's absolutely huge, guys. So Trump is the undisputed king of endorsements. Massey gone, Corn gone, Cassidy gone. You had the Indiana Senate now removing the rhinos. Trump has endorsed 117 candidates in 2026 and won all 117 races, 100% win rate. What else did we find out? Something that Alpha and I have been telling you guys for the last, since the inception of the show. You remember when the election happened in 2024 and it came out that Kamala Harris, the DNC, spent over $1.3 or $1.4 billion on that election. It was the most expensive election in history, and they lost. And that she was over like $40 million in debt after the election. Trump came out and said, hey, we have some money left over. We'll gladly pay for your debt. I remember this.
I do.
And I came out and I said, the Democrat Party is going to go bankrupt. After Doge came in, USAID started getting cut. We saw ActBlue come under investigation. I said they have no more money. We've seen indications of this over the last few months. We had Governor Mills in Maine, who dropped out of her incumbent race because she doesn't have any money. What did we just learn this last week? The RNC has 123.9 million of cash on hand, zero debt. The Democrats only 14.4 million and $17.5 million in debt. In other words, a negative 3.1 million. Guys, money wins elections, and the Democrats have none. There is going to be no blue wave this November. You have Swalwell gone, resigned, Schiff coming up this summer. You have senators, rhino senators being primaried. You have congressmen who are hardcore Democrats being primaried. What do you have? You have Al Green gone. You have what's her name? McCormick gone, right? You have over 28 Democrats no longer seeking re-election, retiring, or resigning. Guys, this is what we were talking. This is what the Q Board's Future Proofs the Past was talking about in 2018. You throw the boomerang, you put all the information back out there, and then it comes back around, and you start seeing the fruits of all of this. We are headed towards a massive red wave.
100%. These are some states I want you guys to all pay attention for. So if you have a chance or a pen or notepad, or you want to do notes on your phone, think of them as the dirty four. These are probably the four most important Senate races as it stands for strategic purposes. So the first one is North Carolina. The next one is Maine, then Georgia, then Michigan. Now, when we say Maine, I know you guys are going to think, Susan Collins, we hate her. We do. We absolutely do. But if you want the Democrat that's running against her, then there's that. You need to think here as in we need the Republican strong majority to continue in these specific states. And then obviously in Georgia, we want to get rid of Ossoff or Ossoff, however you say his name. These are important races. So pay attention to those states: North Carolina, Maine, Michigan, and Georgia. Those are important. So I wanted to put that out there. But I think we covered the election stuff, or as much as that I wanted to. The next thing I wanted to ask you about was, unless there's something you want to say on this, if not, we could shift gears.
Well, I think that Trump is giving indications out there. If you watch some of his posts today, you know, he put this out there today, and I think that this pertains to what we're seeing in the primaries and what we're seeing with everything. Donald Trump posted this on True Social today. Game over, deep state. He's got the Q plus on his lapel, and then there's a Q formed with the flag and his arm right there from Spiritual Street Fighter 17's memes. I think that that's a huge, huge indication. Then there was this, and this is where it starts to get interesting. And we know there's some things happening with Iran. I think that we're potentially going to have something with Iran in the next few days, something big. But he says, based on the possible bad weather conditions tomorrow, we'll be having our cabinet meeting in the White House and postponing the Camp David trip. He was supposed to go to Camp David.
Let's rewind it just a little bit so everybody knows what was coming into this and why this changed. He was going to get the entire cabinet to go to Camp David. And for those that have been following Trump's presidency, he doesn't really use Camp David.
Nope.
And he convened the entire White House staff to go over there, the cabinet. And then all of a sudden, this happened. So I'll give it back to you, Josh.
Well, the interesting thing is it's supposed to be light rain and drizzle. Yeah. He said because of possible bad weather conditions. So to me, that indicates that there's a storm coming, and that is not at Camp David. But he needs to be in Washington, D.C. for a reason.
100%. Here's what I'll add to that, because I absolutely agree with you. You saw everybody on social media, especially the anti-Trump crowd, which was pretty interesting to me, all talking about Trump is convening all his cabinet to go to Camp David. Everybody's Camp David, Camp David. So what this happened, you had the public opinion all talking about Camp David. You had the intelligence apparatus that's monitoring the court of public opinion all talking about Camp David, as well as the intelligence apparatus probably trying to figure out why is Trump taking the entire cabinet to Camp David. What does this do? You guys have heard me talk about this over the last couple of years, tickling the wire. Trump's guys, whether you want to call them White House, whatever you want to call them, they're monitoring everything. And when they saw, and I'm talking about the bad guys, the deep state, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, when the cabal saw Trump's making the move and he's taking everybody there, it creates chatter. Whatever it goes to, you want to go all the way back to they're doing the chatter on video games. You want to say that they're doing it on these, WhatsApp, these third party, whatever. It creates chatter. That chatter allows people to be identified. It allows you to mark networks. It also gets to show you where everybody's at. And then what does Trump do at the last second? What Josh just tells us, actually, we're not going to Camp David. We're going to go to the White House. What does that tell you? He baited them to make communications. They did. And once they had the information that they needed, now they're shifting to the location where they're going to feel secure. That was 100% a leak operation, a baited operation to get the leftover stragglers that are still out there. And that's why Trump, 100%, that's why they did that the way they did it.
Now, I see you got a post up there. You want to pull that up?
Yes, I do. Let me zoom in for everybody.
That's Trump. Oh, my goodness. I know that meme. So he posted this, right? Stay with me, deplorables. You'll love how this movie ends. Now, that's pretty interesting, Alpha. Do you have the post that corresponds to that?
Not on this one, but I do have it if you want me to grab it.
I got it right here. Let me pull this up because I know that meme from somewhere. Oh, that meme is directly from the Q boards. Post 4095, May 3rd, 2020. Just signed Q+. I mean, how many more times before it's, people believe that it's a coincidence? Come on. And there was another one that happened today. Did you see this one with the DOW's CTO?
Yes, I did.
Let me pull this one up because this is a good one.
This is one of the first ones I saw in the morning, man. This was strong.
So he says, "Good morning, Patriots. Good morning, Patriots are in control," and you see "locked on." Now he did that at 9:49 a.m. 9:49 a.m. Why is that interesting? Because we see multiple different signals coming from this account, all with relevant timestamps. 9:45, 9:49. Trust the plan. Full control. Patriots are in control. Trust the plan. Full control. And then you get in Trump. You're going to love how this movie ends. Stay with me here, Patriots. I mean, so this is one of the things that we've been saying about the boards, people, is that it's not the boards anymore. The boards are kind of a reference frame. But what you're seeing an internal dialogue that's being organized, a message towards the Ananda community and everybody else that's saying, hey, guys, listen, this is... this is one of my big problems. My brain just go whoop like this, but this is one of my big problems. Is I was talking to some people. I had a Memorial Day barbecue, and they're not Trump supporters. That's fine. But I was talking to some people, and you get these people like, oh, MAGA's dead, or Trump betrayed us, or he said no new wars, or Trump did this, Trump did that. And I said, look, listen. We elected Donald Trump to dismantle the deep state and take down the globalist agenda. Right? That's what we elected this guy to give us our country back and a fighting chance in this world. The moment that guy goes out there and starts to dismantle the deep state and take down the globalists, people lose their shit. Like, oh my God, what's he doing? He's destroying the whole system. My life is getting turned upside down. No shit. What the hell do you think we elected him for? To take down that corrupt system that was undermining the U.S. Constitution, that was leading towards a one world government. The whole point of what he is doing is dismantling this old guard system, people. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's not going to be sunshine and freaking rainbows. It's going to be shutting down the Strait of Hormuz. It's going to be bombing the shit out of Iran. It's going to be taking out the deep state and the global strongholds. It's going to be reorganizing the government. It's going to be all of these various different challenges and chaos. Why? Because that's what it takes to truly reform this government, to give it back to the people. This is one thing that people have to truly understand. And what I see with the comms, or at least what the comms have been telling me over the course of the last few months, is that, hey, it's all supposed to be this way. Guys, trust. We know what we're doing. Now, do I blind trust? Absolutely not. I trust and confirm. That's why we have these shows. We go out there and we say, hey, this is what it's supposed to look like as this begins to roll out, as this begins to get set up. This is what it should start to look like. And guess what? Well, we said that the Democrats had no money. Well, guess what? The Democrats have no money. We said that the Democrats and other people are going to start resigning or getting primaried. Guess what? They're resigning and getting primaried. And you're going to see a lot more this summer. Why? Because this is the way it was supposed to go. We said that July 4th is a special time frame. Alpha has been saying this over and over and over. Why? It's the 250th birthday of the birth of the United States of America, a time of revolution. So if you think everything comes in cycles, you have the rebirth of the revolutionary spirit that happens on July 4th. That's why I believe all of these grand juries are being held off. They're being held off till the summer when indictments and arrests will roll, because that's going to be, you got to remember, Trump understands the symbolic nature of things. And he's going to roll these indictments and these arrests out probably right before the primaries in that revolutionary time frame. I would even say that he would probably even do it on big anniversaries of battles of the Revolutionary War. That's just my thinking.
He's huge for symbolism like that. And that's why I want to go back to that picture that he posted from Spiritual Street Fighter. And I'm going to bring it up just because, folks, the president of the United States, Truth, Spiritual Street Fighters post on this. And not only, people say, well, the Q plus on his collar, maybe he didn't see it, maybe he did. Okay, that's fine.
But he's
it's
done
a big ass Q in the image. Trump's literally standing in a Q. And it says game over, deep state. Listen, it doesn't get more obvious than that. I mean, I think the other ones that he's done where he's Truth, especially from, Spiritual Street Fighter, she's done a lot of these art pieces that Trump has done this for. And a lot of people say, yeah, that wasn't so obvious. This is the definition of obvious. Mm-hmm. The man is standing in a queue. So for everybody out there, if you're watching this show, I'll pull the image off and you see, the zero in DEFCON zero is not a zero.
Well, and then right after this, he posts the same meme that's on the boards, and that meme is from the boards, people. Okay, the meme that he posted was from the boards, so he posts a boards meme, and then you have War CTO posting a timestamp of, "Hey, full control, trust the plan," and then it's signed Q plus. This is the cross correlatory messaging that we're getting and we're seeing, and this is what we're trying to say now. People out there like, yeah, but nothing's happening, Alpha. Alpha, there's no arrest, nothing's happening. What do you say to that, Alpha?
Well, one of the reasons, to go back to the conversation you had on why does the Democratic Party not have funding, and you mentioned things like USAID, the National Endowment for Democracy, ActBlue, these are all the white collar ways of them doing that money. What have we been seeing? And you just saw the news, I think it was yesterday, the day before, another cartel family, this one out of Puerto Rico, being taken down. You've seen the Mexican mafia in the United States taken down, MS-13 in the United States being taken down. What is the significance of all that when people say nothing's happening? He's literally taking down the most dangerous people that are alive. You guys think that, we're afraid of the Pelosi's, we're afraid of the Rothschilds. Well, heads up, folks. These aren't the people out there that do the assassinations, the murder for hires. These aren't the people out there that will sink an entire ship. That is your cartel. And these are the people that are being taken out. So what it is everybody wants the signal of what everybody wants is vindication. We've been saying the arrests are coming, and
they want Obama, they want Brennan, they want Clapper.
And what you don't understand
is their network
is the entire foundation of that network is being dismantled right now. And how people don't see this. Listen, folks, you have, I have the post, I'll find it. But the guy from Qatar that's coming out and saying, we've kind of been doing an investigation into Tucker. It looks like he might have been acting like a foreign asset in our country. And here's some receipts for that stuff. You don't, folks, you don't think that's a setup? You don't think somebody over there from Trump's administration has somebody by the collar and says, hey, this is what you're going to put out. You're not going to hide it no more. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happening right now. And I guess I'll end it here and I'll give it back to you, man. Is you're seeing the most sophisticated part of the deep state being destroyed. And how people can say they don't see that, I think people just don't want to see it.
Well, you're absolutely right. And so for people that need a visual like me, is I look at the multi-headed Hydra. The Hydra has multiple different heads, and each head is a faction with its own ideology. And think about each globalist, the World Economic Forum, Bill Gates, all of these people with a neck below them. And that neck is that support structure that keeps their criminality and their power afloat. And what Trump is doing is cutting off the necks. He is cutting off that whole cartel gang support structure. He's taking down the criminality of the NGOs, the infrastructure in between them. I mean, I'm going to play a clip. Listen to Stephen Miller right here. This is a part of it. Listen, it's about the money, following the money, and it's about dismantling their militias, their armies, and their militaries, which they have built up over decades.
What we've learned, which is not surprising to those of us who spent some time in this area, is that fraud is every bit as bad as President Trump said it was, and even worse. So in other words, everything we found either confirms our worst fears or exceeds them. That's the bad news. The good news is that the best team in government under the leadership of Vice President Vance has been assembled to deal with it. And of course, one of those men who you'll hear from in a second is sitting to my right here, the Associate Attorney General for Fraud Enforcement, Colin McDonald. But before I yield the floor, I do want to just touch on one of the points that Andrew hit on in his remarks. All of the systems in our country, whether you're talking about voting, whether you're talking about entitlements, whether you're talking about welfare benefits, were set up based on the honor system. They're set up based on the idea that you could trust the average person through their own morality to abide by the rules and comply with the law. And so the way most welfare works in most states and most places is we take your word for it. If you fill out a piece of paper and you say your kids are hungry, you are going to get food stamps. We don't check as a country if you even have kids. The fact is basic as that. We don't even check if you even have children. You will just start getting the checks. And so what's happened to our country is we became a society, as we've seen with the Somali refugee problem in Minnesota, where you have a large number of people that are not following the honor system. They're not playing by the rules. They're not abiding by our laws. And the amount that has been fleeced from us is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. I believe, based on what I've seen and what I've heard, is that we could balance the federal budget if the only dollars that went out of the Treasury went to individuals who are properly, lawfully, correctly eligible to receive them. And that ultimately is going to be what we have to do as a country. In the meantime, because of the Vice President's leadership, you are seeing the most muscular, robust, aggressive, dedicated, determined, and speedy effort to shut down criminal fraud that has not only ever occurred in the history of this country, but in any developed nation.
Okay. Very important what he said there. Now, I want to give some people some numbers here. Okay. During the pandemic, nearly $900 billion in unemployment benefit aid went out to help Americans. Over $135 billion of that was fraud. So this is, what did he just say there? Is that if you remove the fraud, we would have a balanced budget. So if we don't have a balanced budget, we go into a deficit. That deficit is the national debt. So if you take this over the last time since we had a surplus, which was under Clinton, the current day, that's $34 trillion of fraudulent activity that has been perpetuated on the American people. That's how bad this is. And this is, they use those programs, guys. And here's the thing, those programs, they fund people who are taking advantage of it and then giving kickbacks to Democrats, that they are funding NGOs, and the NGOs go in there and they fund Democrats. They open shell companies and fund ActBlue. Everybody was in on the scam to defraud. Some
of them weren't even real people. They were just accounts.
Well, you remember what I used to say? Citizens in name only, employees in name only. So if people remember when Doge came in and Elon Musk sent out the email to the entire US federal government, and everybody's like, that is the dumbest stuff in the world. There was a reason for it, because Democrats had went out there and created all different types of agencies, and they would fund it with, let's say, $5 million in this one agency. This is actual real story. There's an agency funded with $5 million. They had 25 federal employees operating in Washington, D.C. They had an office building, and they went in there and nobody was there. Nobody was there. The two people that they found running the office building were driving Porsches. Okay. So what happened is there was employees in name only. The employees weren't real. They didn't exist, but they were collecting paychecks. They had benefits. Somebody was spending that money. This is what was happening with the criminality and the corruption. And you can take that to the next level. What do we have? We have citizens in name only, citizens that are dead on the voter rolls that vote, but they don't exist. This is why they tried to fudge the 2020 census with the illegal immigrant data so they could print more ballots. So this stuff is happening right now. It's being uncovered, but people are like, well, why don't they just do it? Because you can't show that you can't tell the people, you have to show them. If Trump came out in the first 3 months of his presidency and just started arresting everybody and taking everybody down, there would be a revolution, a civil war rising up because the people would not see and understand. This is laying the framework and the level of understanding for the American people to truly see how bad this really was as it gets uncovered.
What's that old saying? Give a man a fish and you give him a meal. Teach him how to fish and he can take care of himself.
That's not necessarily how it goes. It's give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime.
There you go. I was close.
But I'm pretty sure I got it wrong too. And people are going to be like, that's not the Bible verse.
But the point of it being is what you're saying. If Trump came in and did exactly that, arrested all the deep state and said, these are all the bad people. This is the money he took from us. The money's back. And now there's just good people. We'd be like, yay, thanks, he saved us. And then what happens when the Trump dynasty goes away? What happens when 3 generations from now, the memories of this time fades away? And the deep state machine, the mechanism of how it works is still there in the shadows. And it says, okay, now it's time for us to come back in. Mm-hmm. And nobody knows how to defeat it because nobody knows how to stop it because nobody knew how it worked to begin with. And what we're seeing here is how this thing works.
Yep.
How it operates and how to prevent that from ever happening again. I have the video I want to play from Tucker. It's like 54 seconds or about Tucker. This comes from Melissa Tate's profile for those of you that are familiar with her. And she writes, Justin Yikes, president of the Qatar National Democracy Party, says that they have been investigating Tucker and found that he may be acting as an agent of the Qatari government and have possible ties to the bin Laden family. If this is true, this may be the reason why Tucker said he was being investigated by the DOJ. Insane. So here's the short clip on that for those of you that were curious.
Carson, it's been very obvious that he is actually a pro-Qatar puppet. We've been investigating him for the past few months, and I'm very certain that very soon outcomes are going to come because we've been following money and following what was exactly happening. When he came to Qatar promoting Doha, he was living in an area that actually Osama bin Laden's son was living at, the son of Al-Qaeda leader who actually slaughtered 3,000 Americans.
I would be totally comfortable sharing condolences with Osama bin Laden's family. If somebody dies, it's okay to say, I'm sorry to his family.
And then all of a sudden, by the way, he shifted as well. He's adopting now the other scenario that the Jews was behind 9/11.
All of his views suddenly completely flipped 180. They changed so fast and became radically pro-Islam in the last year.
So now what's interesting is if you are somebody that's like, but bin Laden was either CIA or CIA asset, I would say, yeah, keep thinking that way. How does now instead of what you heard the president, the Qatari democracy say, instead of him saying he stayed in the same room as bin Laden did, he stayed in the same room the CIA was in control of, is how that reads. And where I'm
wasn't Tucker's dad CIA?
What?
Well, that means that he's a legacy.
He is.
Legacies are, and by the way, if people don't know this, if one of your family members, like direct parent, was CIA, you are what's known as a legacy, and you will be recruited into, they will attempt to recruit you into the CIA. I know this for a fact.
And the reason this is important is because you have these shadow wars within these agencies. You have the bad guys in the CIA versus the good guys in the CIA. Yes, folks, there are good guys in the CIA. The same thing's happening in the NSA. You go and you look at the agency that exists out there. And that's these shadow wars, these infiltration instead of invasion wars that are taking place right now. But it's all coming to a head. We're approaching the pinch point. I guess that's kind of what we've been talking about tonight. We're coming to the pinch point where all this is going to surface. And you know, before November of this year when we get into elections. How close? Well, I mean, shit, we're pretty much in coming in June now. So what, in less than maybe 4 months, 4.5 months, if my Marine Corps math is mathing?
Oh, you have to write it out with crayons.
Just use my fingers and my toes, man.
All right.
I'm just saying is people stand by, because the next big conversation, you're going to hear us talking about this on pretty much all the shows that we do. You're going to hear this come up in some faction, the Save America Act.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because when that thing doesn't pass, that's when we're getting into the phase where shit's going to get wild. So if you need a marker, that's the marker.
And we've kind of laid out the scenario that most likely I don't think that this thing's going to pass. We got the summer to do it. But the problem with having it done in the summer is the implementation of those changes is going to be really problematic for the 2026 midterm elections. And so this is why we've seen Donald Trump issue an executive order on voter ID, as well as why DNI Tulsi Gabbard is staying until June 30th, because she's finishing the report, from what I gather, on election integrity and infrastructure that she's been working on, along with her task force. One of the main reasons why the CIA was actually spying on Tulsi Gabbard. And here's the thing is, when that report comes out, this is going to give Donald Trump legal precedence to issue a national emergency on election integrity and infrastructure, which is absolutely within the jurisdictional authority of the federal government. Basically, I think what it's probably going to say is that various different machines like Dominion and ESS are compromised to outside external networks and foreign influence operations, and that it's going to be recommended by the Director of National Intelligence that these election machines be removed from service, and that we move towards an all-paper ballot system, as well as how the mail-in ballot system has been abused, and that we have to regulate the mail-in ballot system through elections through the Postal Service, one person, one vote. And this has to be amplified by Trump's executive order. And I think what you're going to see is Trump come out with a national emergency on election integrity and infrastructure, will begin to implement this, and that states will have basically 2 to 3 months to get their shit in order before the elections, because no machine votes will be counted. I guarantee you that this is kind of how it's going to go. At least this is my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
It's not going to pass. I'm like 99% certain on that. Just one, like you said, the time to deploy, even if it did, we are definitely squeezing all the juice out of that damn lemon. But Trump also needs it to happen as close to the midterms as possible, in order to create that exigency of what we're saying right now, that there's no time. He needs that. And listen, this is what's going to end up taking us into the conversations of posse comitatus and martial law and those things that we've been talking about at length. And that's what's coming. And here's the, now, interesting enough, Cornyn's team came out and they did something I didn't expect, and they conceded with grace.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, we're also going to support the Republican ticket going forward. I was expecting more of like the way Thune's reaction was when Trump endorsed Paxton. I was kind of expecting that, but the fact that Cornyn came out and, like I said, they did it with grace, conceded, and said, hey, we'll support this ticket going forward. It kind of makes me wonder, is Trump, go ahead, you're smiling, go ahead.
Is Trump freeing, like he did to Lindsey Graham with John McCain?
Yes,
so everybody who doesn't know is that Lindsey Graham was basically a stooge of John McCain. And then when John McCain was removed, Lindsey Graham kind of rose up in that place, but controlled by Trump. And so the question that Alpha is actually operating here is that, is John Cornyn actually an asset of John Thune, and that Trump actually just freed him? Because I want people to think about it in this sense of like, what are you talking about, Josh? He was a senator for 28 years. You're telling me this guy never wandered into a hotel room or or never did anything bad in that 28 years that some other senator had and held it over his head and utilized him for their purposes, for their agenda. Like, that's why they're called rhinos, people, is because rhinos typically have some type of shit hanging over their head that if it's released, it ruins their careers, because this is what the establishment does. And we've seen this throughout senators and congressmen's careers. You see a scandal drop, guess what? That's one of two things happening. The Republicans dropping the information they have on you, or the Democrats dropping the information they have on you, or white hat operation. So I think that John Cornyn was probably a controlled asset, and he's just been alleviated, and he's seeing 28 years of stress just be like, it's over. I don't have to worry about this anymore.
I'm telling you, dude, it's the only thing that makes sense on the way he's handling and the other thing too is the loss. I'll give you guys the updated numbers from when we started the show. I have it right here.
Decimated.
It's at just over 81% reporting. Holy shit. Ken Paxton, 64% to Cornyn's 36%. That is insane, bro. Insane, but he's taking it like a champ, which now kind of brings me into the conversation to go back to what you asked me on the Save America Act. We know Thune is not going to allow that thing to pass. He's not. And if Trump's taking away his assets and he's taking away his talking points, how does Thune, because you already see people calling him out, well, at least try. I go into these, I call them like the normie spaces of the, Republicans and conservatives, normie MAGA, normie America First. And these people are all pissed with Thune. Like, they're not buying off on the excuse. And this is a good thing because, like I've always said, and guess who learned this the hard way this past week, right? Massey and his simps. Social media on X does not have the impact that these influencers think it has. X is the trenches of the information battlefield. It helps allow people like us, you, the audience, to identify what are the trends in this war. What are the agendas being pushed out? And it does give us a sample size of some of the things that are out there. But in and of itself, it doesn't have the American influence that people think. And here's an example. You have the guy that was working with Matta. I can't think of his name. Sour something, whatever. The one that Massey got all happy and he jumped on him and hugged him. It was super gay. But he comes out and he's like, we had 15 billion impressions. You did. Now what did you learn? They weren't American because the votes didn't reflect that. And so what we're seeing here, to bring it back to Thune and the Save America Act, is people aren't buying it. They're not buying it because of podcasts like this, Substacks putting out the information, grassroots people that are going out and talking to it. So, and I'm going to kill two birds with one stone here. Let me see if I can find that comment on YouTube that somebody put out there. I'm not going to.
Two in the hand, one in the bush.
But somebody said, if they do martial law, hide your guns. No, you don't have to. The martial law is not going to be for the way it's not. Don't think the movies where you see the Hummers and Americans, there's fences with barbed wire and go in your home. It is 2100 hours. That's not the martial law. That's going to be, it's not like that. What we're talking here is a martial law that's going to secure areas of voting. We see this conversation that's being seeded by the Democratic Party right now on ICE. And with the conversation, this and how I know that we're going this route to use martial law or posse comitatus in some portion get suspended is, what are the Democrats selling? They're saying these federal officers, if they're around these voting precincts, that's intimidating. That's the way they're going to influence these votes. Well, one, it's like Americans shouldn't be afraid of ICE, only illegals, but nonetheless, they're already seeding that mindset. So when Trump comes out to say everything that you articulated on why we can't go through these voting machines and why you're going to have two forms of ID, why it's going to be a paper ballot, why it's going to be single day, and how we're going to utilize the military in some fashion to secure that and deploy that, is for that very reason. And so this is what Thune and all of them are about. It's all about creating the atmosphere, because this is their last chance. When Trump does this, and Patriots are in control, right? We just saw that post. We got, what's the activation word? Ronald McDonald. And we got that, 4 days ago, whatever it was. All that's right now, like all that's happening right now. And why? Because it's what I've always said. When that moment comes, the most powerful thing that Trump has been fighting for is the court of public opinion. And when the moment comes and Trump says, hey, this is how we're going to do elections, this is how we're going to nationalize it for this day, and this is how we're going to use the military, because military is the only way, the court of public opinion is either going to support the president or the court of public opinion is going to support anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, and is going to call for his impeachment. They're going to call him a king. They're going to call him tyrannical. And this is what gives the left and the cabal what they want: revolution and civil war. Those are the two outcomes. And I think hands down, what this administration has done by not doing the arrest of Obama, by not doing the arrest of Biden, is they haven't been able to call him a king yet. But guess what? After he nationalizes the elections, and after he uses the military to secure elections, and after that election day happens and we learn who's going to be in our government, which is the people we actually voted for, guess what he can start doing after that, Josh?
What's that?
Arresting every one of these deep state scumbags that exist, because all the people that are now going to be in government aren't going to impeach him. They're going to support him. They're not going to stop him from doing these things. They're going to help him push it. They're not going to grandstand like Massey. They're going to say the people gave you
like
the
I
mandate.
said, like I've always said, is that November, you're either going to see a supermajority come out, House and Senate for Trump, or you're going to see a civil war. It's like you're not going to get either or. It's either going to be a massive red wave or it's going to be stolen and there's going to be a civil war. And I think that everybody is starting to understand that what you're about to see is the red wave we were promised in the midterms in 2018. And it is coming with a vengeance. And I just want everybody to see that what happens when you have true America First patriots that are in Congress and in Senate with Donald Trump in the position of power is you get legislation that finally gets passed to benefit the American people. This is why you haven't seen the Sovereign Wealth Fund and these types of other bills come up on the table yet. Like Massey and the Federal Reserve. Yeah. Guess what? What you need is you need a supermajority from the Congress and Senate from Republican side with a president that wants to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and you will actually see that happen. Well, what's Trump doing? He brings Kevin Warsh in. Kevin Warsh is going to absolutely downsize the Federal Reserve and then basically reintegrate it to the control with the Treasury over control of the Fed. This is huge. So you are seeing massive changes in how the government operates happening right now. And man, we are in for it. I mean, the next 5-6 months are going to be incredible. Now,
Incredible. Go ahead. I'm fired up, dude. I see people putting things in the chat. I'm like, this audience gets it, dude. Like we brag about DEFCON being the hottest show on Tuesday nights. But what I want to brag about is we have an audience that's smart. And I say that because I go on some other shows and you guys know I'm in all these battlefields, and I'm like, sometimes the audience needs a little work. It needs a little work. And I'm looking at this audience and I'm just like, I mean, half of you guys could jump on this podcast with us and just roll. Like, you guys know what's going on, especially the YouTube fans. I'm looking at you guys and you guys are dialed in. But go. I didn't mean to interrupt you, dude. It just got me fired up, man.
So I'm gonna transition because I know that. So we're gonna transition real quick. So this is interesting because you remember all the stuff that we were talking about with Epstein. Remember the whole thing I laid out? I wrote a fucking blog on Epstein. Remember this?
I do.
And if people don't remember this, I will give the link here for everybody to go out there and check out this blog. Because if you want to understand why the Epstein files were pulled off the board and why certain things were not being released, this is why. Jeffrey Epstein, the architect of global genetic control grid and superhumans, okay? DNA harvesting, designer babies, human cloning, quantum AI, transhumanist network. I go in here and I explain it all, and there's a receipts in here, but then I go into you go into Regina Dugan, Epstein's meeting. If you don't know who she worked at Google's advanced R&D division, building aid at Facebook, okay? And she's with the Welcome Leap Foundation right now, and guess what they're doing? Same type of stuff. And look, who's that? 23andMe. Oh my goodness. Oh, why is that important? And I'll put this out there so everybody has this, but I saw this post yesterday and I said, how about that for fucking validation once more? And Alpha, I want you to read this right here.
CIA, this is from the Daily Mail. CIA accused of using Ancestry and 23andMe to, quote, hunt down alien bloodlines in millions of DNA tests.
Now, this is really, really interesting because I have a lot.
Can I offer you
Oh yeah, go ahead.
A large influencer made a comment to that article. And I want to give it to you because you may, incorporate into what you're saying, but that guy was Alex Jones. And Alex Jones, he said probably one of the most honest things that he said in a very long time. He said, you're going to find out. You're going to find out that those aliens are us. We're the aliens. We're the aliens. And so now I'll give it to you, Josh.
So this is what people need to begin to see with all of this. That data from 23andMe, remember that data breach that happened with 23andMe? There is 2 other companies in Europe that it happened to at the same time. By the way, those 2 companies in Europe, they just disappeared overnight. 23andMe eventually went out of business. Interesting to note that Epstein had 2 companies that worked on the same type of data. The Southern Trust Company, I said Southern Truth here, but the Southern Trust Company and the New Albany Company. Now, the New Albany Company's headquarters was on an island owned by Google with a massive AI data centers. Google at the same time was operating their quantum AI aggregation network. What was that? It was a 5-year mission to aggregate human DNA and biomedical information into their AI to build out the baseline for Alpha Genome, which just launched 3 months ago. It's important to add that Epstein was directly associated with Regina Dugan, former DARPA, head of Google Special Projects Division. Sergey Brin of Alphabet, by the way, was married to 23andMe CEO and founder Ann Wachowski. Google itself was CIA, In-Q-Tel, funded original Google. Google Maps, by the way, was given to Google by the CIA. People don't know this. In other words, it's safe to assume that 23andMe was a honeypot operation for genetic information. And I just posted that link to my Substack in there for everybody out there. Now, why was the Epstein stuff taken down? The reason you didn't see the financials, the reason you didn't see stuff about the Southern Trust Company and the New Albany Company, the reason you didn't see anything about DNA information harvesting is because I've said this over and over and over again. Epstein was procuring children, not just for child sex trafficking. This is the cover story, people. He was procuring children for biomedical research. When you go into the projects like the CIA's finders, John of God running baby farms, the baby farms that were being uncovered within this, Epstein trying to have his own baby farm at his ranch. What was this about? This wasn't having babies and putting them into child sex trafficking networks, guys, or even organ harvesting. This was about selling these children for biomedical research in third world countries and within the United States of America. And here's the big kicker. The reason why the U.S. government, Trump, probably even pulled it off the table himself is because this directly connects to the Department of Defense, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, of which you begin to find out that they were funding and running these operations through gain of function research. This is what, if you remember, Tim Burchett was on this show, or sorry, he was on our Overwatch and the Guardian show a few weeks ago. No, it was on DEFCON. It was on DEFCON a few weeks ago, and he said that he didn't want to say it. He was running around. He's like, I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for saying this, but I know that the government's running genetic modification and manipulation systems for super soldiers. Well, how do you think that they built out all of this technological infrastructure? DNI Tulsi Gabbard. Notice that she left right after she announced she's investigating the 72 biolabs in Ukraine. Did you know there's 127 other biolabs throughout the world operated in third world countries? Why? Ukraine is one of the top capitals in the world for human trafficking. Well, that's an interesting place to have biolabs. Why were all the biolabs on a line right split down between East Ukraine and regular Ukraine, focusing primarily on the Donbass, which are Russian Slavs or Russian Ukrainians? Why was all of these 72 biolabs doing gain of function research as early as 2014, 2015 for the Defense Intelligence Agency. What type of gain of function research were they doing? Well, they were doing biogenetic information. This is the big part that nobody wants to talk about and that they're hiding. And I get why the Trump administration would say, we got to pull this one back and figure out how to disclose this.
Well,
I think that, go ahead.
Let me show you a post, and then Josh, tell everybody what is significant about this post.
What is coded in your DNA? Who put it there? Why? Mankind is repressed. We will be repressed no more. Information is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Information is power. How do you protect your DNA? There is a war for your DNA. Protect your DNA. Ascension. That was the last post, man. It's the craziest one of all. And you want to know what? That is at the same point in time that I started this investigation into all of this. So what's coded in your DNA? It's the message of life. It is life. It is God is coded within there. Mankind is repressed. What does that mean? We're starting to get into the UFO and UAP disclosure. And a lot of this stuff, like they're using 23andMe to find human beings that have potential alien DNA. Yeah, guess what? We are the aliens. I think that that's what's really going to come out about all this. And I know people are like, no. Listen, guys, on an evolutionary level, humanity does not fit into the puzzle of Earth. Let me ask you this, Alpha. Can you give me an animal that when it's outside squints in the sun? Do birds squint in the sun? Cats, dogs? No, none of them squint in the sun. Why? Because they evolved here on this planet. Human beings, you can't go outside. You get burned. You squint. You can't see anything. The sun's too bright. Evolutionary, we grew up in colder climates like Mars or something like that. I don't know. It's a conversation for the OG show. But this right here, there's a war on your DNA. I think a lot of that is to control us through genetics. And I think that it's a lot of it is to suppress us. You know, one of the biggest revelations that I had researching the whole UFO phenomena, abduction phenomena, the whole hybridization stuff, a lot of the information that we're actually seeing coming out here over the course of the next year or two was that the question was asked, why are aliens, why are extraterrestrials, interdimensionals, whatever I just call them aliens for a very generic point. Why are these beings so interested in humanity? And I'm going to give you the answer. Because what they have to be able to travel the long distances of the universe between the interdimensions with technology. They need a technology in order to do that. Humans, we don't. We are one of the only biological life forms that they know of that can travel these distances with our minds, with our consciousness. DMT is an example of that. Anyways, that's a conversation that's not a DEFCON ZERQ conversation, Alpha.
But listen, it's the last drop. It ties into this conversation.
It does.
And the statement in that, let me bring it up one more time because, you know, I think everybody kind of acknowledges, that there's a war for our DNA. I think we're good. But to me, it's how do you protect your DNA? I think that's a very important statement, especially when you look at, you know, there's a lot of technology that's out there. We see what's going on with our food. You have RFK that said, I believe it was today or yesterday or today, came out and said, you know, he's going to the war on chemtrails. Mm-hmm. You know, like there's all these, and what does all this stuff do? You know, it affects our DNA. And if this is the last post, you know, I think that's pretty significant to say, hey, this is where we're going to stop for now.
Yep. And so, yeah, I have a lot more to say about that topic, but it's just not the DEFCON conversation.
Nah, I hear
but
you.
I wanted to point that out because it's another one that I've been saying that we've been talking about that's now coming up in conversation and people are talking about it.
I hear you. I'm going to go to our last ad. And then when we come back, let's get into some of these Rumble rants. And I think I saw some super chats where people had some questions for us too. So we'll be back in just a second.
Today we remember those who gave everything. And memory is never still.
This Memorial Day, one hero, one mission, to deliver softness to America.
No, Gigi, we can't stop for snacks, dude. We have to deliver all of these soft disclosure gift cards.
He goes by Zach Kane.
The motion detector.
Hey, stop fighting over the beer brush.
Life finds a way.
Hydrate your elbows, moisturize your soul. Feel the rhythm together. You feel alive and let the lotion roll. Soft disclosure, hear the cry. Maximum softness, do or die.
Muffin, hit it.
The sickest commercial. And as always, the best damn chapstick that exists out there. Soft disclosure. Make
The
sure you
beard
move.
oil's amazing, people.
It's so good. All right, folks. I want you guys to do something. All right. On a pen or a pen and paper or on your phone. Here's a date. And then when this date comes, I want you guys all to be like, all right, Josh, Alpha told us about this date. Why is it important? Here's the date. October 8th. 2027. October 8th, 2027. Now, if I'm right about this, I think what you guys will be saying is, how the fuck did you know? October 8th, 2027. Josh, before we get into these Rumble rants and super chats, anything you want to say about anything we talked about tonight?
Lots happening, people. Buckle up. It's about to get bumpy and it's going to be very, very interesting. So, but just know that I think the war is already won. We're just going through the motions right now.
It's going to be bumpy. We'll win.
It's going to be bumpy.
We will win. We'll start with the super chats because we got two of them over there. We got a $2 one coming in from Michelle H1X. Thank you for that support. And then we got a $20 one coming in from Mike Raylu. Putin being interviewed by Tucker while blaming the CIA for the 2014 Ukraine coup. Putin said, the organization you wanted to join back in the day, as I understand, we should thank God they didn't let you in. I do remember that. And I remember how that created a lot of controversy. People were talking about that for a good minute. And with that, we'll get into our Rumble rants. Let me zoom in just to make it a little easier for everybody to see. Josh rated us. So thanks for doing that, Josh. $10 coming in from Popeye 9090. Vegas Hotel Fun. Be there or be square. Thank you for that. KLC73 gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you for that. And then Bossman rated the stream. Thank you for that, Bossman. Jody IVRN gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you, Jody. $10 from Breadmaker62. DEFCON ZERQ is the main live post for Rumble right now. Semper Fortis. Give them hell, guys. Thank you for that, Breadmaker. $10 coming in from Glenn Jr. 13. God bless you guys. Good to see you together again. Thank you for that. $5 from Gale Time. Great to see you, gentlemen. No one beats my faves, Alpha and Josh. Always over the target. My faves. Thank you for that, Gale Time. $1 for dollar from Arnold Anon. 2,000 likes and Alpha will shave his beard into a mustache. 3,000 likes and Josh will shave his eyebrows. Love you guys. Semper Fidelis. And whatever you squids say, something about fair wins. I'll tell you guys right now, going to take a hell of a lot more than 2,000 likes.
Hell yeah.
To get me to do that, because you guys give us that kind of love all the time. So I don't know. Come up with a really hard threshold, and maybe you can win me over. $5 from our Broadway. Alpha, have you or would you ever consider creating your own investigation business? I'm not really sure what it's called, but hopefully you do. Anyway, I just think you're great enough to do it. I would love to do something like that, but my calling and the path that the creators put in front of me is a little bit different. That being said, if anybody out there, especially if it has to do something with the missing little one, if you needed my assistance in something like that, or you wanted me to come out with a short op plan where you could have the right questions and the right things to do with whatever detective you're living with or in that area, 100% reach out to me for something like that. That is something I would definitely make myself available to. Counterinsurgent gifted 5 subscriptions. Thank you for that, Counterinsurgent. $20 coming in from RPG 3573. Thanks for all you do, guys. Kudos to Josh on being the heir to the 107.
Air. It's air, not hair.
Air.
Yeah, 107. So I was on a show with Jaco and 107 the other day, and 107 said, "Finally, I can retire and pass the baton. I finally got an heir that understands what's actually happening in the world."
United you. You got the night.
Me, yeah.
$20 from RPG 3573 again. Thanks for all you guys do. Kudos to Josh on being the heir to the 107 throne. See, he paid for it twice, so this way I could get it right. I hope you meant to send that twice, RPG. $20 from Bear 1007. Best of the best, period. Thanks, you guys. God speed.
Thanks, Bear. Appreciate you.
$5 from NC Cheney. You'll soon learn the White Hats are the Knights Templar. May want to dig there.
You might want to go back about 4 months ago and listen to the episode we did there.
Just saying. Stay tuned. $20 coming from Rory McGill 78. Josh, congrats on the hat tip from Juan, and very well deserved, sir. Juan led me to Alpha and others who led me to you, so I'm grateful for the following the crumbs and finding patriots on the same page. That's so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So freaking awesome. And that is our Rumble rants and no more super chats. So we're squared away. Josh, what do you got coming up this week? What have you already done this week? Let the audience know, and then I'll go after you.
I haven't done shit this week because I just had my show today. So, and I took the last few days off because it was Memorial Day. Obviously this week I got the Daily Dose Monday, the next few days through Friday. OG show on Thursday night. I heard that it's going to be a banger this week from what Alpha is telling me. He hasn't told me anything, but we're going to talk about it here in about 5 minutes. But other than that, nothing really going on too much. It's the end of May. We're moving into June. So June is going to be a really busy month for me. I got a family vacation coming up. And then I have this event at the end of June. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the Great American Restoration Tour. It's in Deadwood. I'm going to be going to it. So I hope that all these people can go out there as well.
You saved me. Do that one more time.
Deadwood, South Dakota, the Great American Restoration Tour, June 25th to 28th, 2026. John Harold, Chris Paul, Burning Bright, Zach Payne, G Money, Jordan Sather, Can Con, Ash in America, Jonathan Drake, JB White, Cam Kuski, Matt Trump, Ghost of Base, Patrick Henry, and Alpha Warrior and Josh Reid. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/event. You can get your virtual or in-person tickets.
Absolutely. I almost forgot that. That's why we're great partners, folks. Yes. Yesterday was Memorial Day. So definitely wanted to hang out with the family. It was much needed. Still did some work, but definitely wanted to relax with family. And again, folks, remember the people that did serve that didn't make it to this Memorial Day with us. A lot of sad parents, sad wives, sad husbands, sad kids. And I always tell people from a vet that did it, and I know Josh would probably agree with me, we're not asking you to cry about those we've lost. We just want you to recognize that you have the gift of life. So make the best of it so that the ones that gave their life, they did it for a reason. You guys can catch my show right now. It's going to start in about 10 minutes. I just got to refill my water, make another coffee, and go use the head and cover some things with Josh. I'll rate it there on the Rumble chat for those of you that want to go see Just Alpha. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow is Wednesday, right? I'm trying to think of, yes, the holiday threw me off. Tomorrow's Wednesday. So we'll see you guys then. I'm just so freaking lost, bro. There's the raid. If you guys want to stick around, again, you guys can go hang out in the chat, hit the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment, keep each other company, give me time to replenish myself. Josh, you got a song or anything on the way out? If not, I'll do our standard one and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Yeah, but you'll have to kill YouTube so they don't get the violation.
All right, I'll just play our regular one. Oh, $20 Rumble that fuck Tash. $20 Rumble rant coming in from PS Farm Girl at the last second. Funny, my 70-year-old sister talked about all the reasons the honeypot of DNA could have been implemented. Looking for a certain DNA lineage was one, as well as a weapon. Absolutely. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Don't forget, Overwatch and The Guardian this Thursday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Good night. God bless. And simplify.
Take care.
The ideas that gave birth to our nation are the ideas that our nation is resistant to right now, and we should talk about that all the time.
In a world where narratives are shaped by corporations and gatekeepers, independent voices matter more than ever. Badlands Media brings together citizen journalists, researchers, and independent thinkers.
The truth is triggering.
Question the narrative. Explore the facts.
It's authenticity, courage, resilience.
Search for the truth others won't.
It's not about being first or being right.
The information war is changing.
It's about being authentic.
Embrace the friction.
Embrace the friction.
Shut the f*** up.
Authentically antagonizing.
Join the movement. I'm going to say how I feel.
Follow Badlands Media.
This is about the future.
The Badlands. What are the Badlands? Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.